Welcome to this audio theatre presentation. We hope you like what you're about to hear. So sit back, relax, because the show is about to begin.
Chapter 6.
Teddy looked on as she was packed and sold. Sold she was and packed. Rosie was no longer smiling. Smiling Rosie was no longer. She tried to be brave and bold, but her smile it was no longer. For the till once more was cashed, and her dreams once again were smashed. She hadn't left, she was still there, and ballet doll was sold with her perfect hair. She doubted she was loved or nice to behold. She didn't feel strong, and she didn't feel bold. She sat and cried a number of tears, as she had done all through the years.
The shopkeeper looked tired tonight, after a hard, long day. Christmas was his busiest time of the year. The shoppers came, all dressed in warm clothes, noses tucked under scarves and hands in gloves. They browsed the shelves and picked up the toys. Children played with them, whilst they tried to persuade their parents that this was the toy they had to have for Christmas. The smell of Christmas was in the air, with all its spices and winter chills. Another day had drawn to a close. The shopkeeper sighed, rubbed his eyes as he took off his little glasses and placed them on the wooden counter. He was glad the day was coming to an end, and as he shut the window and turned off the lights for one more night, the toys waited for the moment when they could stretch and share in the moments of the day.
Now when the bell on the door had rung its last, he walked down the cobbled drive. Rosie stretched, and then one by one, the toys, they came alive. Tonight the shelves, with their usual chatter, were all silent, not even a natter. Even Tin Man gave a heavy sigh, for a friend's tears had made him cry.
The toys stayed silent. Rosie sat with her hands pressed against the window. The tears couldn't be held back any longer as they rolled down her face. Cheddar's noting her friend's plight, made her way across the floor with a scuttle. Trying to think of something intelligent to say, she placed her hand on Rosie's shoulder.
Rosie, the lights are great tonight, are they not? Look at the way they sparkle.
Yes, don't they look amazing? Rosie, your dress sparkles in those lights. You are lighting up the Christmas window this year.
Angel Doll said, as she joined Cheddar's to comfort their friend. Rosie didn't move. She just stared, and her eyes seemed to go off into the distance over the brow of the hill and into the nighttime air. With a quiver in her voice, as she swallowed the tears, she spoke softly.
The window. You think I light up the window? I had the chance to be taken away. You heard the mayor. His granddaughter wanted me. She wanted me. PMA, positive mental attitude. That's the way to go, my Rosie. You can see how wanted you were. That's a great thing, no?
Cheddar's comforted, as she tried to make her see the bright side of life. However, it was to no avail, as Rosie continued.
I wanted to be sold. I wanted to be sold.
Rosie started to cry. Tin Soldier and Puppet Doll stood still now on the shelf. Puppet Doll looked confused and troubled, as she whispered quietly to Tin Soldier.
Excuse me, can someone please help me to understand? Tin Soldier?
Rosie does not feel very loved. Ballet Doll has perfection in looks, and she feels she is ugly and unwanted. You heard her. She's made of many fabrics. She doesn't see that she is a beautiful thing. She only dreams of being sold and loved by a child in her mind. She feels this is the only thing that will make her feel loved and valued. You see, Puppet Doll, She doesn't realise she needs to believe in who she was made to be and accept herself. No little girl will ever make her feel perfectly loved. Only his love can do that.
But, Tin Soldier, the shopkeeper said she was special, that she could not be duplicated. That sounds valued in love to me.
Puppet Doll and Tin Soldier looked across at Teddy. With all his wisdom and knowledge, surely he would be able to explain Rosie's feelings and the reason she felt the way she did tonight. With big eyes and a longing heart for sense, Puppet Doll looked at Teddy for answers.
Indeed, if only Rosie could see how special she was. She was handmade and is just perfect the way she is. Even though she feels different and not lovable, we are all individual.
Teddy answered their silent questions as they walked slowly to the other side of the shop floor, so as not to be heard by Rosie.
Yes, she has such beautiful woolen hair, unlike all of us, and it is such an awesome colour. It is so different. We are all different.
You see, I have stuffing and you have strings. Tin Soldier has...
Handsome looks!
Interrupted Tin Soldier as he took a firm step forward with a cheeky grin on his face.
Well, whereas I have...
Anan!
Interrupted Tin Soldier again as he took yet another big step forward.
Rosie has charm and lovability, and Cheddars has brains and intellect, whereas Ballet Doll has...
Anan!
Well, quite frankly, my dear soldier, she technically has to have a brain, as every living thing has certain organs, lest they would cease to exist. And if they cease to exist, then the world would be...
much quieter, better, and nicer. And there is so much more room on the wooden shelf over there since she has been sold. Oh, joy to the world! Peace has come at last!
Shouted Tin Soldier with a total excitement. Amidst all the joking, Rosie still sat motionless in the window, where her hands were still pressed upon and her dress now wet with tears. Teddy continued to help the new toy find her way through all the highs and the lows of the events of the day. Certainly, a lot had gone on. With a visit from the mayor, a rag doll that was broken, and a tin man that saw everything with a smile and a wink. Puppet Doll looked more confused than ever as Teddy tried to unravel all the events for his new friend.
Life has a way of twists and turns that we do not always see as the best and greatest plan, my Puppet Doll. It does not always bring us what our hearts desire, or at least what we think our hearts desire.
Life has brought my heart's desire. Ballet Doll is gone. Isn't it quiet in here? That is, until no. Shall we dance, Puppet Doll?
No thank you, Tin Man.
Blushed Puppet Doll with an embarrassed but kind look in her eyes.
Oh, I see. Well, another day then.
He said sadly as he put down his guitar and the rose in his mouth.
So, how do we cheer her up? Make her pain go away, Teddy?
Puppet Doll inquired of her wise Texan friend.
She needs to find out for herself that she has a purpose. She needs to know for herself that she is precious and wanted and perfect and doesn't need to be anyone but Rosie. That being loved by all those around will not make her world complete, but his love will.
I see.
You see, my Puppet Doll, some toys leave and get loved, and through this that all their dreams are fulfilled. Others are sold and love life for a while. The things they think they want to do, they do, and then they are broken by a child or some twist or turn of life, and they are discarded, given to goodwill, or returned. They then sit and wait. The shopkeeper mends all those that are returned, all those that come back to him, he lovingly holds and heals. But some don't come back. they stay away on the shelf, ashamed.
I see. Complicated is this life. After the stuffing is pushed in and the last stitch is sewn, of the last piece made, knit together in the master's table, it then becomes our choice to choose our way?
Yes, that's about the size of it. Shopkeeper has a purpose for each of us, and if we listen to his voice, it will steer us right. But it's not always easy with the clanging of so many toys around us having their say about how we should be, look, and act, and we often listen to voices that shouldn't matter, but do. Well, I feel it would be a good time to down these thoughts and rest my brain. I need my beauty sleep. Apparently,
he said, glaring at Tin Soldier.
I'm beginning to feel a tad insecure. I had 2 comments about my wrinkles today,
he shouted as he rubbed his furry face and walked slowly with a glare at Tin Man back to his shelf.
No harm, mental chap. No harm.
Oh, chap, if I didn't like you so much, my friend made from a baked bean tin, you may be the next space on the shelf.
All the toys followed him. Angel Doll stretched. Cheddars gave a big squeaky yawn. Puppet Doll closed her eyes and rested her wooden arms. And Tin Man polished his buttons and straightened his hair and rested his head on his hands and closed his eyes. Rosie sat as she normally did. She placed her hands on her knees and tried to close her eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. As she saw Ballydoll leaving every time she closed her eyes, she heard the words of Ballydoll running through her head. She looked at her dress, made of many fabrics, and her hair with the woolen look, and she sobbed into her stripy hands. Staring around the store at her beloved friends, all on their shelves, tags on hands, ready to be sold. She stood up. She wandered around the cold wooden floor, and as she ran her hand along the paper bags, with R on one side and D on the other, she spotted the space on the shelf where Ballydoll had once sat. Looking at the window, and then quickly back to the space, she slowly made her way across to Ballydoll's spot.